Hello. So, as I mentioned, I've been working about a year, 11.5 months so far on this. What I want it to be is a songwriter's room and an acoustic and electric guitar tracking room where I can record electric and acoustic guitar music, get the tracks all done and get them ready for someone else to mix and someone else to master, where I can do test mixes and test masters. And I've done all kinds of stuff with acoustic treatment in here and so forth. But what I'm going to go over in here is kind of interesting and exciting. I want to run down the Guit-arsenal, and so you can see what I got. If you're a gearhead, you'll enjoy this. And run down the amps as well, and how this is all going to work and what I'm excited about here. So let's start with the guitars first. So here's what I've got for acoustic and acoustic style or semi-acoustic guitars. All right, this is an old Yamaha that was given to me by my mother. Not in tune, it's got new strings, but it could be useful for some recording. So what I would do here is take that eyeball here and place the mic in here and record this, doing whatever I want to with this. It's a pretty guitar, not terribly outstanding or anything, but it's nice. This is a Valley Arts 000 body size. This is the size of a classical guitar, a small classical guitar, but it's steel string, and it's Valley Arts. You know, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it is a very beautiful instrument, even though it does have a crack in the top here. Probably the wood had gotten dry from neglect and so forth, but so you get a sense that it sounds different than the other one. It's a different kind of sound. It sounds like a small body. Again, it shines up really pretty. I don't know if you can see the reflections there. Another guitar in my Guit-arsenal is an Ibanez George Benson 10. This is a GB10 George Benson, and a nice guitar, not in tune. It's a jazz box. This is what you would kind of, expect that. It too's a very beautiful instrument. It's a beautiful guitar. And we have here the Tour de Force Taylor 814 CE. again, I don't know how well the video camera is catching just how beautiful this thing is. It's a remarkable guitar. See, that sounds different than the other ones, doesn't it? It's just, this sounds really nice with an AKG C214 microphone. It's just beautiful. So that is going to be the primary recording acoustic, and I'll use these other two acoustics for fattening up the sound or something like that. Alright, so I've introduced you to my acoustic range. And this is my solid body and semi-hollow body. We've got a couple of Strats here, we've got a couple Paul Reed Smiths, we've got a couple Ibanez's, and we got the Gibson. So what we have here is a 40-year-old Stratocaster. I didn't know this, but I was looking up the serial number recently and found out this guitar actually probably had been hanging in the music store when I bought it new from the music store for a year or two. And I bought it. This is one of the very first, probably the first real guitar that I ever bought. It's got the Stevie Ray Vaughan pickups in it. It's got a Warmoth replacement neck. This whole pick guard and everything is all replaced with the electronics and this. This is not really a Stratocaster, it's a Chuckacaster. You know, single piece neck, just beautiful. And it's compound radius. And this thing, it plays really nice, much better than it used to. It's got, like I say, the Stevie Ray Vaughan kind of tones here. And then what we have here is a Fender American Elite Strat. And it's got the locking tune pegs. And this thing is an ash body as opposed to an alder body. And they sound different. I don't care what anybody says, and I certainly prefer the ash, and I wouldn't have known that the guitar that I played in Ferguson, Missouri was an ash body if my brother hadn't noticed it. My older brother noticed, hey, that's odd, that's an ash body. Well, I came back to Nashville and was like, wow, I gotta check out this American Elite Strat thing. That's really something, and like the 335, there was something special about it. Well, it's got compound radius neck, and I'm not sure about the Elite Strats. I want to say they were made in a custom shop, but I couldn't swear by it. But very nice guitar. Alright, now we have a Paul Reed Smith single cut. It is not a tin top, but it does have the bird inlay. I don't know if you can see the birds on the fretboard. And it is a Paul Reed Smith, and this is Ted McCarty, who helped design the original Les Pauls, was in on the design of this. So it's very Les Paul-esque, but it sounds like a single cut. It will fill the role, if you need, of a Les Paul, and has that kind of sound. It's a beautiful finish, that curly maple top. You see how thick that maple cap is? And it gets thicker here on the mahogany body. That's nice. Very nice. We'll go over to the next Paul Reed Smith. This is a custom 24. I want to say it's 2007. I don't recall. And I'm pretty sure it's got the original Dragon 1 pickups in it, because when I bought it, the guy was saying, well, these pickups are different than the custom 22 and they're darker. And they had just come out with them. And I'm pretty sure these are Dragon 1s. It is a 10 top. It's got the little 10 up here and the serial number. So on a scale of 1 to 10, they considered this a 10 at the time. This curly maple, this maple top's not curly maple, it's flame. I'm not sure the difference, but beautiful guitar. Anybody that knows anything about Paul Reed Smiths know the custom 24 is really, really nice. Let me check the date on that real quick. I had to jot these down. Let's see here. Oh, I was wrong about that. The custom 22 is a 1997 Paul Reed Smith. I looked at the serial numbers and looked them up online on Paul Reed Smith's website. So that's a 1997. So I'm pretty sure that's Dragon 1 pickups. So that guitar itself is 22 years old. And this Ibanez over there that we were looking at, the GB10, that turns out that's 29 years old. So let's move on. So I've already introduced in the other video here the brand new addition to the Guit-arsenal, the Brown Burst Custom Shop ES335, and this baby, oh man, this is everything a 335 is supposed to be. I'll have to make a video of playing it with some blues or something like that. Just beautiful. And I did find out that the tailpiece and the bridge are original Gibsons. On the Custom Shop 335s, Gibson does have a locking tailpiece and bridge, and you can tell by the hole that's in the middle. The hole goes all the way through, and so do the threads. But this is just beautiful. I like to call it honey burst. It just really does remind me of honey. I think Gibson calls them brown burst, but it's just gorgeous. All right, so here's an Ibanez Prestige, and I know I used to be a Gibson and Fender snob until I picked this thing up. Right, I picked this up, and that changed everything. This is a Prestige model. And Ibanez calls them Prestige as sort of their upper line, their upper quality, and they just do a brilliant job. This is a nice maple cap, like a Les Paul would have, or the Paul Reed Smiths. And this fretboard is a flat, but man, this thing it just sits well and it plays like a dream. It's just amazing. And the other thing we've got here, people probably recognize this wacky wild guitar. This is an Ibanez Gem 7V, and it is a signature model from Steve Vai. It's got the 3-piece neck, well 5-piece with the little sections in the middle, and it too is an absolute joy to play. It's just amazing playability. These two are the best playing guitars I've got. Now, tonal quality wise and musicality wise, they're different. You know, once you get into the vaguenesses of tonal and all that kind of stuff, then you start coming back to these other ones. But alright, so that's a pretty good assortment of guitars. I've got one more and I keep it in the case. and that's the Gibson Flying V 73. But I won't bring that out right now. So that's my guitar sound. Now what I want to go over real quick, and why I'm so excited about this guitar tracking room, is, I'm going to reach over, pick up an acoustic that I want to play, and I reach over and play an electric, pick an electric. Now that's all nice, you've got a guitar in your hands, but how do you actually get sounds into the multi-track? So there's a really cool thing that I found on the internet, and it's going to work. Well, I have to show you, explain it. All right. Now what we've got here, I don't know if you can see them. I'll back this up a little bit. We got a JCM 950 watt Marshall, and on top of that, we got a Bogner Duende, which is 15 watts. They're both very nice amps. Let me do something here. Okay. Alright, so I've put them on a 4-wheel dolly and strapped them in, with a cinch strap that locks down so they don't fall off of each other. So we've got the Marshall and the Bogner. There's your rock and roll sounds, super nice. And so you take the guitar and you plug it into the foot pedal or whatever, and you plug in the amp. Now the thing is, it's so cool, is most amps, you can tell this is old, the speaker plugs into the amplifier, and if you run the amplifier without the speaker plugged in, like here, you can damage the output stage of your guitar amplifier. Well, how do you get the sound from the speaker or the guitar amp into the recording device? Well, there's a cool little box made by how's that spelled? S-U-H-R. And you plug this in. You unplug the speaker from the amplifier, and you plug this directly into the amplifier output. And that runs to a box that's about the size of maybe 2 cigarette packs. And it is a guitar cabinet simulator box. You have 3 different tone controls, and it also has an output where you can run the output of that to another box made by the same company, S-U-H-R. They're very nice stuff. And the box works as a resonant load. So let's talk about that a little bit. When you play a guitar amp and it's playing through the speaker has its own resonance, and it has a unique set of impedances. Now, impedance in the electronics world, if you're familiar with electronics, is comprised of 3 things: resistance, inductance, and capacitance. And those 3 things combined are impedance. So 8 ohm impedance means that the resistance, inductance, and capacitive combined is 8 ohms. Well, it turns out the impedance has, because it's capacitance and inductance, resonance and so forth. So back in the day, you may remember Tom Scholz had these boxes that you could put on your amp and you turn it down with that. Well, that was a resistive load. And it didn't really have the resonance and so forth of like a true speaker. So the more you turned it down, the more it changed the guitar amp sound. There was a difference. There was a loss of resonance and then high frequencies. Well, this is a resonant box, much like that. And it's absolutely silent. So those 2 little boxes over there can handle a 100-watt amplifier. So you can take this Marshall 50 watt, you can crank the master up as loud as you want, run it into there, set your tonal characteristics, and it's absolutely silent. The only sound is split off and run into the interface going into the multi-track. So I can get a Marshall sound, I can get a Bogner sound, and there's no room sound or mic sound or anything like that. It's just boom, the guitar and the amp. All right, so that's pretty cool. Now, gonna go get a sneak. See that color there? That means it's something special. This is a Fender Custom Shop 1959 hand-wired reissue 59 Tweed Twin. It's got 2 speakers in it. It's the original style Alnico speakers, and it's 40 watts. It'll chase an elephant out of the room. Beautiful, beautiful guitar amp. And then there's the Fender Steel King, which steel guitar, lap steels and so forth will play it, but it's extremely clean. And I can set this up and do that same trick with these 2 amps. Now this is 4 ohms, so I have to do a little bit more complicated circuit, but it does work. It can be done. So again, I got a Marshall sound. I've got the Bogner Duende sound, which is like, you know, just wonderful. Then I've got the 1959 Fender Twin Tweed sound. Then I've got the ultra super clean Steel King. Well, let's continue. Now, if we take a look at this here, what we have here is, again, that strap. Oh, I'll set that over there. This is just a Fishman for my acoustics, and I can play, you know, my acoustic guitar through that. But what we have here is a Marshall Mode 4 280. All right. So let me bring this up a little bit. Marshall Mode 4 280. And the Marshall Mode 4 280 cabinet, which is a 16 ohm cabinet. And the thing is, the Mode 4 heads, they didn't take off and just become a favorite. But the Mode 4 cabinets did. They're 2 or 3 inches larger than the standard Marshall half stack, and they have a very good sound. Now I took this and disconnected 2 of the speakers, so that I only have 2 of them running for 8 ohm impedance, which means I can run it with the 50 watt Marshall, the Bogner, or any amp, and then I can also just, I can run this one for 8 ohms, or I could hook the speakers back up and have 16 ohms and run this, and this will drop a charging rhinoceros at 50 yards. It is incredibly loud. But now I can do the same trick with this though. I can take this and run it into that box and have a second and third, because it's kind of 2 amps, Marshall sound, and that little rectangular box for the voicing. It's a guitar cabinet simulator, so it's voiced for a Marshall 412 to begin with. So I could mic this, or I can run it direct, or I could do it both and combine them. So now let's move this back. And let's see, I don't know if you can see that. This is another Fender, and it is a Fender Hot Rod Deluxe. And that's a real nice sounding amp. And again, I can do the same thing. It's 8 ohm impedance. I can run it into the 8 ohm reactive load box with the cabinet simulator and dial in the sound or do the tone controls here. So if we think about all the different sounds that I can get just with these guitar amps and the guitars that I've got, and I have a means of getting a really good quality track cut, I'm really excited and hopeful about what I'll be able to do musically in this guitar, I call it a guitar tracking room. And the idea is that I'll sit in here, I'll do songwriting, and then do the guitar tracking and get it all ready to hand off to somebody to mix. So that's enough for now. That's the rig rundown of guitars and amps. If you're a gearhead, I hope you enjoyed it.